but it might be that I'm taking on slightly bigger events and I might have a bit of a higher threshold there as a kind of minimum spend, because I'm taking on less but a bigger value. So that's something I've been exploring. But yeah, I don't know, it's a kind of seat of your pants thing, isn't it? Like, you plan, I'll plan and see what happens. I don't know. Childcare. We're lucky to have, John's got quite a big family locally. I've got family as well, they're just a wee bit further away, but we can still make that work. And I'm hoping I have a huge workshop to work from that they can come in with me as well. Maybe when they're smaller, that might be easier because they're sleeping and eating and whatnot, but when they're up on their feet and running about, I'd imagine that'll be a bit trickier, and that's when I'm going to need help. So there's a lot of, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. There's going to be a lot of trial and error, so we've got a rough idea in our head, but the babies will tell us if that works for them or not. Yeah.
You know what though, I think that's the best perspective to have, because that's really all you can do. You can have an idea in your head of how it's going to work. And I mean, we both have partners who work, I think, a kind of normal-ish. I know your partner does some kind of shift work and stuff sometimes as well, I think, but you kind of have an idea of what the other person's schedule is and how you might be able to fit your working hours in around that. And if you're working in wedding and events, as you're saying, you work so many weekends. So I think trying to have at least one weekend a month off so you get some family time. I think that it sounds like you've kind of thought it out, but you're right, you don't really know. And I remember thinking at the beginning that I wouldn't get anything done with Charlie because I'd be busy with her all day. But actually, when she was younger and would sleep and wasn't walking yet and things like that, I actually managed to get quite a lot more done. Whereas as she got older and wanted more attention and was more curious and was on the move, it became a lot harder. So you're right, you cross that bridge when you come to it. And I don't know, for me, it's definitely been a ton of trial and error. I had all these ideas in my head of this is going to work this way, and I was basically proven wrong every single time. And you just adapt to it. And I think your comparison is so good. It's like when you start out with business, you have an idea in your head of what structure your business will have and what kind of hours you'll work and what your weeks will look like. And then you might learn that it's totally different, but at least you've got an idea in your head and a starting point, and you can just go from there.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we've got something, some sort of bones of some idea, and not, if we're not too rigid to that, then we're not going to be, our world's not going to be blown apart if that isn't actually what happens or that just doesn't work out. So yeah, as you say, my partner doesn't work weekends. Generally, it's very one-off if he has to work weekends. So, and most of my work happens at the weekend. Although I do all the prep and the planning midweek, I'm out most of the day on a Saturday. So he'll be at home for that. But I think as long as you've not got anything too rigid, you've got a rough idea, you've thought it through, and nothing too rigid, because in that case you're just going to potentially end up pretty disappointed if that doesn't work. So there's no set plan, there's a rough idea, but a real go with the flow. So we'll just have to figure out as we go along. It'll be fine.
Definitely. And I think the nice thing too, you had said before about finding like-minded clients and the people that you work with, and I think that's so true. And when you talk about social media and things like that, a lot of the people following you will either be past clients or current or future clients or whatever. And I think, when you share some of these things, like all the things I was worried about, are people not going to want to book me because they know I have a baby at home and I'm maybe not sleeping as much as that, you get all these ideas in your head and you start to worry that people will perceive you or your business differently. But what I found is just being kind of open and honest about what's going on. Even, you're doing it in your pregnancy as well. You're sharing these things and people are excited with you and they are understanding and they can relate, whether they're parents or aunts and uncles or want to be parents or whatever. I think most people can relate to what you're going through. And I certainly haven't had any negative reactions to the fact that I have a kid. If anything, I think if I post anything of her on social media, it gets more interaction than my own stuff does. So
she is very, very cute. One of the clients who rescheduled to kind of September, October time was like, I'm really sorry about this. I know you're pregnant. I know you're due around then, but you know, see if you have to bring the babies, like my mum can help you if you're setting up. Like my bride is telling me that her mum can help look after the babies while I'm setting up the wedding. And I'm like,
that's amazing.
how cool is that? It's it won't come to it, but yeah, how cool is that? They're like, just really want you still to be able to do it, and we don't want to have to cancel or change florists or anything. So, you know, just to let you know, my mum's on hand. She's really great with babies, and don't get me wrong, I will absolutely bear that in mind just in case. But yeah, that's how cool. That's the level of cool people have been. So it's really good.
That's good. It's so funny. Like, people love to see that behind the scenes and those honest feelings. And, you know, you and I both have dogs. And I think whenever we post photos or videos or whatever with the dogs in them, people love that too. So I always think it's so funny how I could spend hours creating this photo and editing it, and I post this beautiful photo and it does all right. And then I post a picture of Dexter that I snapped in 2 seconds with my phone, and, you know, it gets double or triple the likes and the engagement. So I think, yeah, I think those 2 babies will end up being the star of your Instagram in no time at all.
Yeah, perhaps. Yep, probably.
So before we wrap up, Amanda, I wanted to ask you a question. So at the end of every episode, I'm asking guests if there is one thing that they wish they knew before they started out in business. So something that you learned the hard way. Now, we all probably have a few of them, but if you had to choose just one, what would it be?
Oh God, yeah, there's definitely more than one. Yeah, absolutely. Something I've had to learn the hard way. Oh, I think, I'm not sure how to word this properly, but marketing opportunities where you have to pay for them, not always what they've cracked up to be. And I've threw a lot of money at that to learn that, because at the start you almost see marketing opportunities. So if a big magazine approaches you or a newspaper and they sell it to you so well, and you think, oh my God, I must be that good that they want to feature me. But it's a pretty hefty price tag attached to that advertisement. It's all it is at the end of the day, is advertising space. You could, in most cases, I believe you could be anybody. They've just found you and you fit into that criteria. But I think at the start I got really excited at that. Big publications asking me to take advertising space, and I somehow seen that as a compliment and paid a lot of money to be featured in it and got zero return, nothing back from it. So and that went on for a wee while, because then you think, well, maybe you've done something wrong, you didn't submit the right pictures or the right design, or so if you're asked again, you'll do something different. It takes a while again, like a lot of things we spoke about. After a little while and your confidence builds up and you start to get the measure of these kind of things, you think, wait a minute, you want me to pay to be involved in this spread for you to sell your magazine, and I've got no guarantee of any return whatsoever, and no thank you. So yeah, that took a while to learn.
No, and that's a hard one. And admittedly, like, I did the same thing at first. I signed up to wedding shows and things like that. And I mean, I learned very quickly that my clientele don't go to wedding shows. They're kind of a little bit more alternative. They like to do things their own way. So when it comes to the wedding work, I mean, that I did get a few bookings that way, but like you're saying, the return for the amount of time and effort and money that went into that. And you know, I remember you speaking to me about this right from the beginning, about like finding out who your ideal client is and where they'll be. Yeah. And you do, I mean, that takes a bit of time and work as well, and you do find it out as you go. But the other thing I've learned about the advertisements is it's almost like the salespeople know when to get you, because I've definitely gone that route, this doesn't work for me, but then it'll be a time when maybe I'm a bit slow for bookings. Maybe I've had a few quiet weeks, or I'm like, feeling a little bit discouraged. Yeah. And that's when I get that email through. And I've been caught out by that once or twice, not recently, but kind of in the early years, where I went for something knowing that it wasn't going to work for me and my clients weren't going to look at it. And yeah, I totally agree. That's definitely one I've learned the hard way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that does tie in with knowing who your client is and doing everything for them. And as you say, your client might not even read that publication or go to that show or whatever. So yeah, as I say, we could talk all day about mistakes learned, lessons learned, but yeah, that's certainly one. I've thrown a lot of money away, I think, for and got nothing in return except the big fat promise that never turned into anything.
But now you've learned, and now we can share that with other people. And I think
yeah,
this is the really interesting thing, though. Anybody could give you business advice. So somebody who's further along in their business or more established or whatever, they can tell you all these things. You can read them in books or blogs or listen to them in podcasts. But I think that it helps you to be more mindful, but it's almost as though we have to make those mistakes. You have to try all these things for yourself. And it's true that different things work for different businesses, but I kind of think learning things the hard way isn't so bad, because you can look back on how much you've progressed and learned based on that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to remain open-minded all the time in business, because there'll be something else. You could ask me that question next year and there'll be something else I could tell you. And you're always learning. If you've got an open mind and not think you know exactly what you're doing, you've got it nailed all the time, keep an open mind, keep learning, then yeah, there's loads to learn every day.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. Thanks for coming on the show and for talking to us about your pregnancy. And I think if anybody out there is going through a similar thing, if there's anyone out there that's also pregnant with twins right now, that would be amazing, because I can't imagine there's that many of you. But anybody who's kind of planning a family, hopefully that provides some sort of insight and thoughts. And thanks for being so honest there. Where can we find you online?
Oh, everywhere. The website is thefloraldesignboutique.co.uk, and there's links to our Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, everywhere. We're everywhere. So yeah, but the most kind of up-to-date things happen on our Instagram page, and that's just the Floral Design Boutique on Instagram. There's stories and grid posts and what they're at least weekly at the minute, with things been a bit up in the air with everything going on. But usually that's a kind of daily or every other day update. Loads of pictures of our work and behind the scenes and whatnot on there. So yeah, it's been nice to see some new faces.
Perfect. Well, I will put those links up in the show notes as well, so that it's really easy for people to just click through and check you out, and make sure you do, because on top of all of the lovely work that Amanda does, you will also probably get to see some really cute baby photos soon.
Yeah. Who knows when? Soon at some point.
If you need a surprise right now, keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Amanda. Best of luck with everything, and I'll talk to you soon.
Not at all. Thank you for having me. It's been really fun chatting, and good luck with everything for your end as well, the podcast and everything else you've got going on. Look forward to seeing what happens next.